Okay, we'll just get started very soon. Just checking things out before we go. Pulling up the live chat on a second screen so I can see it. It's the easiest way for me to do this. Okay. So we are going to be pre-flying essentially what will be a group flight this coming Sunday evening at virtualflight.online. So I'm going to pre-fly the route today. So we're going to need some more fuel in the aeroplane because it won't have enough. And we have to remember now how to start this aeroplane. First things first, let's change the control profile to match the aircraft. So at the moment I've got it on Bonanza, but I've got one for a single engine aircraft somewhere, which will be better suited to this. Twin engine. Where's the single engine control profile? I really do wish they would change this and make it into a drop down. There we go. Apply, go back, resume. So let's just check the throws on the controls. So we've got the throttle, which has got movement all the way through. We've got the mixture, which is fine. We can use a button over here to control the propeller pitch. So okay, that's fine. Fuel tank is on both. Okay, battery master, booster pump, magnetos to both, avionics master, nav lights. I'm just going to check the volume levels before we get started as well. So volume mixer, I need this to be at 100%. Okay, alternator. Excuse me. Pitot heat, beacon lights on. I think we're good to go. Let's just check the volume levels. Okay, so you can hear me over the engine, which is good. Just let the engine warm up for a moment. Shady says good morning. Good morning, Shady. Just reading the YouTube live stream chat. So let's find out where we are and where we're flying. So we are at a place called Angra dos Reis, which is a little way to about 70 or 80 miles to the west of Rio de Janeiro. So this will be the group flight route on Sunday evening. So it's touch and goes with a full stop at Santos Dumont for a break. So we'll fly along the coast and then carry on out of Rio de Janeiro out the other side to Masse, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But Santos Dumont is a really cool airport. You might have seen me doing it in videos before. One of the you can see the approach route here on the waypoints. One of the approach routes comes around this headland and comes in. Depends which way the wind's blowing. Obviously, there's only 2 knots wind today, so well, it's 2 knots over here. What the wind's doing in the bay is another matter. Okay, so let's go and taxi around and get in the air. So flaps to takeoff position. Parking brake off. Just spotting with rain actually. So I've set the time for the same time of the day it would be for the group flight. So we kick off at 8 PM British Summer Time on Sunday evening, which would be 1900 UTC. Okay, so we are going to be going this direction for the first leg. I'm going to climb out over those hills over there, but we're going to take off over the bay first, once we've avoided the suicide kamikaze van. He really has got it in for us, hasn't he? What is he trying to stop us for? Really? Don't tell me he's going to get out of the van and try and sell us Bitcoin. I was just reading the live stream. Shady's saying there is an update to the Flying Iron Spitfire. I've not actually got the Flying Iron Spitfire. I know several people that have got it, and they all think it's fantastic. Okay, so full throttle. Coming up for 60 knots. And rotate. And now you see why we're using this area for the group flights, because the scenery is absolutely gorgeous. He flaps up. So we're looking outside. How are we doing on the volume levels? Can you hear me over the engine? Just about. That's okay. Okay. I love flying the Bulldog. It's nice and predictable. It's very easy to read all the instruments, and its steam gauges, which I think are much better than the glass cockpit any day of the week. Okay, so we're going to fly back over the top of the airfield. So let's have a look at the map. Our first leg is 101 degrees over to Fazenda. So there's our compass, it's over here, look, 101 degrees we want. So we're about 120 at the moment, so we should find we can go through this gap in the hills here. So we just need to climb out over that gap. So let's pull the throttle back a bit now. So when we do the group flights with Virtual Flight Online, we ask everybody to hold to about 120 knots so they don't get too far ahead of the pack. Scenery around here is absolutely brilliant. It's just spitting with rain. You can see the rain whizzing past on the glass. I love the live weather in Flight Simulator as well. You never know what you're going to get. It makes it so much more fun. Yeah, there's rain pouring down in various places. It's just coming towards us. So this cloud has burst, basically. I think we're just going to avoid it on our way out. There's a cloud burst over there as well, look. Climb out over here, and then we'll cut it back again when we get to the top. And keep an eye on the gauges, manifold pressure most importantly. So yeah, we're well within limits, it's not a problem. As you can see, we've got lots of fuel as well. Well, fuel pressure is there. And there's the fuel level, left and right tanks. Got plenty of fuel as well. It's interesting, the Bulldog has a G meter because it's used for aerobatic training. You can see you can pull positive 6G, negative 3G. You really can throw it around. Do like, you know, proper 3D aerobatics. That's what it was designed for. Yeah, that rain is really coming down over there now. Watering the trees. And we're hopefully going to avoid this cloud over here. I have to go round it. Hope it's not blowing this direction. I think it might be. Yeah, looking at the clouds movement. It's going this way. Oh dear. We might have restricted visibility in a minute. Let's hope we get to the ridge line before the rain does. You can see it advancing across the trees towards us. A rainbow in the distance. Excellent. Oh, the scenery's just updated. So is that... Oh, we're just going to avoid this rain by the look of it. So the airfield we want is down here on the plain next to the lake. So if we have a quick look at the map, yeah, we can see it's here. So on the left side of this plain by the water, we sit up in the cockpit. There's the water, so it's going to be down here. I think, yeah, it's going to be this here, isn't it? So we'll fly out that direction and have a look. Okay, you cut the throttle back now. See how we're doing in relation to that cloud. Yeah, we're leaving it behind. Look, it was the other side of the ridgeline. So we're good to go for this part of the trip. Never know what you're going to get with the live weather, do you? It's always good fun. Okay, so what was this airfield called again? It's Fazenda Bom Jardim Airport. That's probably a massacred pronunciation there. But without knowing anybody from Brazil, I don't have any reference for pronunciation, so I do apologise if I'm butchering lots of these words. Okay, let's get lined up on this runway. Looks like there's a hill right in the line of the runway in the far end. Yeah, you can see the markers now on each end of the runway. So we're just going to kill some speed. So we could side slip to lose speed as well, which we're just doing. If I get down to 100 knots, I can drop the flaps, which will help as well. So flaps down, and the airspeed is coming off rather handily. We are going to have to side slip though because we are high. So let's look sideways as we do this. We're too fast. We're going to fly a circuit, or fly an orbit, sorry, just to lose some height and some speed. Better. Press F. So we're just doing a touch and go, so it should be fine. flaps to takeoff position, full throttle. Speed back up to 80 knots, rotate, and we're up. Climb out. Row MK9 says, I do like the Bulldog, had a few air experience flights in it as an air cadet. It is brilliant in flight sim. It is probably one of the best flying aircraft in the simulator. Okay, so where are we going next? We're going 117 degrees onto the next airfield, so let's have a look at the compass. So we'll just get through this ridge and then turn right. So flaps up. Speed up, so you can see the speed is even climbing, or we're accelerating in the climb, I should say. So we're going cross country now over to the next airfield. So we're basically aiming for the gaps in the ridge along the way. Let's have a look from outside. It's amazing, isn't it, this game? Sometimes it really surprises you with the scenery and the lighting. This part of the world is fantastic for GA flight. It's always something interesting to see, and the weather is always quite unpredictable. Okay, so let's move this map so we can see where we're going. So we're going across the bay basically. On the far side of the bay there is this Club Q airport, so that's probably not how you pronounce it. Again, I do apologise. So we follow the edge of the bay round basically. So we'll go down to low level. Visibility in the Bulldog is fantastic as well, it has to be said. Yeah, it's raining in the bay as well, look. Buildings are. Probably look them up on Google if we wanted to. Hopefully that rain stays out there and doesn't blow in towards us, although we've got another rain cloud directly ahead, look. There's the sun shining in the rain, causing rainbows. Quite a big bay, so if we go and have a look, yeah, it's going to take a little while. I'm going to go past this island. It's right on out on the far side over there. You can't really see it from here. But we'll stay low because then we get to see the scenery. So this is all stock scenery. If you've not seen Flight Simulator before, this is just out of the box. This is what Flight Simulator looks like. Obviously this is a payware aircraft I'm using, but it's not vastly different than the aircraft that come with the sim. There's a very good Beechcraft Bonanza and a Beech Baron that come with the simulator that are both very similar. They're probably actually higher quality in terms of the polish of the graphics. It's just I like the Bulldog because it flies nicely. Yeah, the stock aircraft are very good as well, it has to be said. In fact, if you go and search my channel, I've done several ILS and radio navigation exercises using the stock aircraft, so you get to see them, like the Cessna and the 152 and the 172. think the airfield is over on that side of the bay somewhere. So we'll find in a minute. Slowly heading down towards, if you find the mouse again, Rio de Janeiro. So when we get there, obviously we'll do a bit of sightseeing and then go and land at Santos Dumont, which is the small airfield in the bay with the really interesting approach for the big jets. Have a look at our crew today. So we got stock avatars in the aircraft. They're not talking to each other. Obviously not very talkative. I wonder what we're flying over the top of. So I think this is some sort of container depot. Have a look at it. It's interesting, it doesn't have 3D assets. Quite often containers do get turned into 3D assets because it's not an area of photogrammetry, I guess. So the AI hasn't bothered turning the smaller things into buildings. Obviously it's made all the sheds and the office buildings, but it hasn't bothered with the containers. But if we had photogrammetry, they would all be 3D structures. Okay, there's an interesting jetty that goes out for quite some way here. Whether it's a pipe or a jetty, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe a pipe. Because it's quite a long way out into the bay. Can't quite see it probably on your stream. As we get closer, you will see it. It must be a pipe of some description. Shady's asking which server I'm on. I'm on Southeast Asia. Purely because the Southeast Asia server tends to be quiet. Something that might be of interest to people is I had a lot of aircraft installed in my community folder just recently to do videos, and the sim became extremely unstable. I was getting lots of crash to desktops. I have since removed those aircraft and it's been much more stable. So I think some of the crash to desktops are caused by the multiplayer server and faulty third-party aircraft. Obviously there's no way of confirming that, because we don't get detailed bug reports from the simulator. Let's see where we are. Okay, so we need to go pretty much away from the coast now. Just hold a straight line out across these fields. There's a big airbase here. We're not landing at the airbase. We're going for the smaller airfield a bit further on. Weather really is not playing ball. It's quite misty, isn't it? So we are heading exactly the right direction for the runway, so we just need to keep an eye out for it. Maybe fly a circuit to slow down. We'll overfly it. I think I'm heading straight towards it actually. Is this it here? I think it may well be. So we'll do a military style overflight and then come in for approach. So here's the big airbase that we're just flying over the top of. We're not going to use this because that's far too easy. And besides, although we are in a military plane bizarrely, but we have no business landing a GA aircraft on a military airfield. Okay, I'm looking for this runway, and I'm not seeing it. So I was mistaken. There it is. Okay, so we probably have got enough time to slow down. I think it's fun to do the circuit sometimes though, do a military style circuit, so we overfly, fly at 180 and then come back round. Okay, so keeping in mind we're going to fly 120 degrees over the runway, then 300 degrees reciprocal. About 1,000 feet. About 310 degrees we need on the reciprocal. So overfly, we'll brake left, losing speed as we go. Coming round to 310. Look out, there's the airfield. You know, on the speed because we are getting slow. Go coming up. Up, and let's see where we're going next. So we want to go 94 degrees over to Campo Dalio Jardim de Matos. So 94 degrees. That's probably again butchered the pronunciation. So about that direction through the hills. Trim the elevators out. Come off the throttle a little bit. Should be good to cruise. Oh, we have company. Now that's interesting because that's obviously a custom paint job, which I was actually seeing for a moment there. So how is that happening? Or how does that work? So we're going to have to pick our way through the hills here in the rain. It's going to be fun. G flat has appeared. Have I had my coffee yet? I had one just before the flight, actually. I was just quickly trying to get this flight in before, because I've got to make a picnic later. We're going out this afternoon to a National Trust place in the UK to look around. So yeah, trying to jam things in the schedule today. I've not been flying much this week because work has ramped up. I'm working on a development project which is on a timeline, so I haven't had much time to mess around doing anything really. It's been very much a learning as well as building kind of project, so it's been pretty much all consuming. So we're flying towards Rio de Janeiro for the halfway point of the journey. We're slowly making our way from airport to airport basically along the coastline using the minor airports, and then when we get to Rio we'll land at Santos Dumont. We'll also obviously go and do some sightseeing if the cloud helps us out. Hopefully we get some clear air in the bay. Settlements, aren't they? Sprawling suburbia. So again, if you just joined, we're doing this as a group flight on Sunday evening. Oh, here we go, someone else. Is it somebody I know? No. So there's not people running transmitter though. Yeah, we will be doing this as a group flight on Sunday evening. If anybody wants to come and do this with 30 or 40 other people. So there'll be a huge cloud of us flying along. Basically flying it together in a Discord channel. If you head to virtualflight.online and join the Discord server, you'll be able to read all about it. It's also advertised on the Flight Sim forums on the event calendar there. So there's the runway. Oops. Wind started to get underneath the wing there and tipping the plane over. So about 4 miles to run. It's a long runway, Campos, they're calling into. Right here in the mist. There's a of it. Is this it here? I think it might be. Beacon light flashing down there, which is helpful. Okay, just bleeding the speed off. Obviously can't go as slowly as me for a landing. Yeah, if that's a Bonanza, it's a bit of a brick. It's very, very heavy, so your airspeed has to be that bit higher. Of course, I might be seeing it as a Bonanza, it might be something entirely different, like a Sukhoi or something like that. Just avoid the van. Right, so then we carry on to Santos Dumont. So airspeed up to 80 and rotate. Flaps up. So we're going 122 degrees or 120 degrees basically around the other side of these hills, and we should find Santos Dumont. Unfortunately, the weather is atrocious, so I may go back to a few clouds instead of the real weather, because this is just awful. Let's go to a few clouds instead, so at least we get to see some scenery along the way. It's pretty amazing what difference a bit of sunshine makes. See what the other cloud options look like. So scattered cloud. Actually, that's even better, isn't it? Is there a VOR at the airfield? Let's have a look. No, there isn't. But there is one over on the international airport, but not at Santos Dumont. If you've not flown into Santos Dumont, it's pretty cool. There's the stadium down here, but obviously it's not in the 3D assets, so it just appears on the ground. That's a shame. see nav lights of aircraft just in the distance that are going into Santos Dumont. It's a popular route because the flight through the harbour is quite a challenge to do accurately. Flight sim's just amazing sometimes, isn't it? So, G-Flap's asking a question. In general aviation, the flaps retract promptly upon takeoff. In airliners, the flaps don't. Do you know of any reason the airliners keep flaps on for so long? Yes. Airliners weigh 70 tons. They take a long time to accelerate, and they need to climb quickly. So obviously flaps generate lift. So yeah, they may be a couple of thousand feet before they start retracting the flaps. Yeah, even the smaller airliners weigh somewhere between 50 and 70 tons. Obviously something like a 747 could be triple that. The scenery's just reloaded in for whatever reason it does that. So this is Santos Dumont, just behind the buildings over here. So should we pick our way through the buildings to get there? We'll just go on the edge of them maybe, rather than through the middle of them. Where's the wind? Should we have a crosswind? There's a Boeing parked up. There's a Twin Otter down there, or is that? No, it's a Kodiak. There's a 737, another 737. I think they were. The Redeemer statue. It's a bit of a famous landmark, isn't it? You see it out here on the hilltop. Climb out towards it and have a look. Yeah, so just answering you properly, G-Flat, the big airliners, it's all about getting altitude and speed and lift, obviously. So they're just managing the most efficient method possible of, as they accelerate on the indicated airspeed ribbon, there will be the markers at which point the flaps come up. So they basically just follow that. They're accelerating basically to get to 250 knots, typically, unless they've got restrictions on their standard instrument departure route, which sometimes you do get. But otherwise, they'll be trying to get to 250 knots and then climbing to 10,000 feet in the most efficient manner possible at 250 knots. And then from then on, you can accelerate and going to cruise speed, which would probably be about 320 knots for most aircraft indicated. The big jets like the 747 can go a little bit faster. Quite a cool statue, isn't it? It's very well done. See how close we can get if we slow down. I don't want to get inside the bounding box of the 3D structure because it will cause a collision. Hey, we're going to go on our way anyway. Flaps back up. Next airfield is 115 degrees, so we're going to fly across the bay. I think the views you're seeing here are the reason that X-Plane 12 is dead in the water. As unfortunate as that is, they really just cannot compete. Because flight sim, with the arrival of third-party aircraft with good flight models, is just destroying the only reason to have X-Plane. And I've got X-Plane. You know, I flew it for years, but I haven't even loaded it now for a year. The last time I loaded it was when I got new computer hardware, and Flight Sim on the same hardware absolutely destroyed it in terms of frame rate. The amount of scenery this is drawing, you know, forget about the accuracy of the scenery, the amount of polygons this throws around makes X-Plane look awful. the performance of the graphics engine used in X-Plane is just terrible compared to Flight Sim. I mean, there's all sorts of sleight of hand going on here to make it look good, but the end result is almost like a photograph sometimes, isn't it? Or like reality, I guess. And yeah, I flew X-Plane for a couple of years exclusively, and I haven't loaded it now for a year. I do keep going back to DCS, but that's a different story, because that's, you know, because you want now and again to fly an accurate F-18 or F-14 or whatever. And that is just a very, very different experience. Okay, how are we doing on this route? So we need to go to America. So when we get further across these hills, we will see the Lake d'America, which I think we can already see out here. So on the far left corner of this lake is our next airfield. That makes it nice and easy to get to, doesn't it? Isn't it easier when you've got good visibility? Which for a VFR flight is obviously very good. Should we lose some altitude? We'll be flying over some of these small towns along the way. So yeah, the VFR flights that we organise regularly for Sunday evenings with Virtual Flight Online are generally set to be about 150, 160 nautical miles, and it usually works out travelling at 120 knots, about an hour and a half. So yeah, we start off at 8 PM British Summer Time, which is 1900 UTC. Midweek we have been trying to get off the ground people flying the big jets along a route together, which we did this week. They don't seem to be as popular as the GA flights. I think that's just because the learning curve of the big jets, you know, there's quite a small niche of people that are interested in doing that, and the people that tend to fly the big jets, if they are going to get more involved in it and multiplayer, they're going to go to VATSIM and use some air traffic control, whereas all we do is like a social flight for people to fly the route together and have a chat en route. And again, we try to keep the big commercial jet routes on a Wednesday evening to about 400 miles, 500 miles tops, which works out again about an hour and a half. So once you've done your, you know, starting up the aircraft, and programming the FMC and sorting out SIDS and stars and things like that. Again, for those flights, all we give is a departure and a destination. So then it's up for anybody to program their own flight plan. It's like with these, the VFR flights are always just point to point, which makes it a bit more fun. Although we have done in the past radio navigation evenings on a Sunday evening where we don't actually give out much of a plan at all. We just tell people the VOR frequencies to go towards. just as a bit of an exercise around radio navigation, which has actually been really popular. So everybody gets in whatever aircraft they want, as long as it's got nav radios, and they just follow the beacons. And again, we have a halfway point for a rest, but basically 2 80-mile segments or thereabouts. The great thing about doing the group flights is because you've got loads of other people with varying abilities, skill levels and experience in the chat room with you, on voice comms. Several of them will be real pilots, so it's very easy then to ask questions and get them answered, and to have no shame about not knowing things and say, can you explain why? And it's great to have real world pilots to be able to tell you the reason why something is done a certain way, or how something works, or what the procedure should be for whatever. And you learn a lot very, very quickly, even if you're just listening in to other people asking the questions. Okay, so I think that's the runway on the lake edge. Yes, it is. America. So we'll start descending. So I'll cut the throttle. We'll descend over the lake. Which way is the wind? Oh, we've got a 6-knot tailwind. We're going to have to fly. So okay, we'll do a circuit of the airfield. So I'm going to do a left circuit and go around the airfield, come in the other end. Speed as well. Just once we level off at lower altitude, the speed will bleed off naturally. As soon as we get below 100 knots, we can start dropping the flaps, which obviously increases drag, slows us down even more. To be honest, we can probably land with a 6-knot tailwind, but it's getting near the limits of it becoming dangerous. So we'll, just for the fun of it, do the circuit. Okay, so we're getting rid of some speed. See, the person that's been flying along with us is just ahead of us on the circuit in. Again, they're doing the same trick, losing speed and altitude, and then we'll turn in onto the runway direction momentarily, hopefully. That's if they are doing that. Okay, flaps down. Can't see their nav lights anymore. Oh yeah, I can see them on approach just over here. There they are there. There we go. We'll be able to watch them on finals. Okay, we better turn before we hit this hill. Who built that great big building right on approach? That was very inconsiderate of them. Accelerate out to 80 knots. And rotate. Climb out. The next leg is going to be 105 degrees. It's quite a long leg over to São Pedro de Aldeia. So let's start the turn. 105 degrees. It might be getting dark, so we may end up manipulating the clock to keep it light. But we'll see how we go. Where is the sun at the moment? Well, it's still quite high, he says. Let's get some altitude. It's difficult to see exactly where the sun is. It's up there, behind the clouds. Flat out. I wonder how fast we can get that. The Bulldog doesn't really go very fast, so let's just trim the vertical speed down now to get level flight. I think I'll do about 140 in a straight line. Just trimming the elevators. The trouble is, as you increase in speed, obviously the lift increases and lifts the nose, so you end up fiddling with vertical speed for a minute or two until you get to cruise. There's no autopilot on a Bulldog, so I'm basically managing it myself. Pavel has asked in the live chat, sorry I missed it Pavel, is this the VATSIM network or just Flight Sim service? This is just Flight Sim. We're just flying along and a couple of people have joined in on the Southeast Asia server with me and they're flying along. This is all out of the box Flight Sim apart from my aeroplane obviously, which was quite a cheap third party add-on, the Scottish Aviation Bulldog from Blackbox. I just like it because it's very clear in the cockpit and it flies very accurately, or similarly to the real thing, apparently, from people who have flown the real thing. Hey, so we're on our way out across this quite long leg, 40 miles. The funny secret about the Bulldog is you can use the autopilot keyboard shortcuts and they do work. So although there is no autopilot fitted in the cockpit, you can use the autopilot if you know the keyboard shortcuts to enable and disable it, for example. So we could, for example, I'll show you. So if I move the heading bug, I'm just pulling it around to the direction we're going. I'm going to press Ctrl Z, which has done wing levelling and pitch levelling, so you'll see this. If I press Ctrl H and Ctrl T, I think it is. So the vertical speed should level out, or is it just set on its own? There we go, vertical speed is levelling out, all on its own. We should find now, if I press Ctrl H, maybe it's just H, I can never remember the shortcuts. I'd have to look them up. Ronnie is saying good evening from Brisbane. Hello Brisbane. Yeah, I wonder whether this has been updated and they've actually stopped you from using the autopilot in it, because it used to work. Or maybe I've got the wrong keyboard shortcuts. Should we look them up briefly? If I press escape and go to control options and go to the keyboard, let's find out what the keyboard shortcuts are for the autopilot. So if I search for autopilot, Control V for wing leveler, just Z on its own is the master switch. Control H is it's localize. No, heading hold is Control H. And Control T is attitude hold. So it won't hold. Altitude hold isn't even bound. Okay, so okay, go back, resume. So if we were just to press Z and then Control H, interesting. I think they may have disabled it because it's not doing it. Oh no, I tell a lie, it is doing it. It's just not doing it very quickly. Yeah, it does still work then. So it's flying the heading for us. So it's a bit rudimentary, but it's there. So if you are flying a plane that doesn't have autopilot and they haven't disabled it in the config file, you can still use the autopilot. So I'm going to turn it off, because otherwise I'll forget it's switched on, and there's no way obviously of knowing it's on without just stirring the controls around to see if it fights against you. So we're on our way further along the coast to Sao Pedro, and then we've got a couple of airports in quick succession up to the end of the flight. Just over 2,000 feet. Let's go and calibrate the altimeter, so 2,000 feet. The sun is going down, it's going to get dark. The last few airfields may be under cover of darkness. Ranu Guj or Gudge says hello. Hello. nice sunset happening behind us at Rio. About halfway to Sao Pedro de Aldea, and then on to Tremonte, and then Masse, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Lots of pink clouds in the sky. So if we go stay along the edge of this water, we should get to the destination. Yeah? Sao Pedro de Aldea. It's tempting to wind the clock back, isn't it, a bit, to make it so you can actually see anything, because as much as it's an academic exercise for me to do this, it's a bit less fun to watch it if you can't actually see anything. There we go. Just put the sun back up an hour. One of the great things you can do with the Bulldog, the black box don't constrain you in terms of the limits of the cockpit. So if you want a good view, you can push the view with the arrow keys through the propeller and sit out over the front of the airplane, so you get a full screen forward view. So if you're doing some sightseeing, you get a nice view of the scenery. And obviously you just press F to zoom yourself back into the cockpit. So what's the name of this town we are passing over at the moment? This is Araruama. De Barbudo, we're about to pass over. Should we look on the side? too far to go now. Should we try the real weather back out, see what it looks like out here? Because this is on scattered cloud at the moment, so let's go for live weather. Yeah, it looks better, doesn't it? Looks more real, not so much like a chocolate box. My daughter's a bit behind me, she's lurking. Yeah, we're just preparing to go out later today. Okay, so we should get visuals on the airfield very soon. We're only about 4 miles out. Which way was the wind? So 6 knot tailwind again, so we'll fly left circuit again. We'll go past it, which gets us a good look at it on the way around. So let's zoom back inside the aircraft. Doesn't have the most tremendous roll rate, but you can do aerobatics in it, especially if you go into the middle of cloud when you do them, which is always helpful. It's just an aileron roll. You know, I said the live weather looked nice. Yeah, it's still raining everywhere, isn't it? I guess it makes it a bit more challenging. Okay, so somewhere out in the mist, directly in front of us, to the left, is the airfield. Should be right on the corner of this bay. And then we'll fly around it and do a left circuit. See it emerging from the mist over here. So we will begin descending. It's a huge long runway, so it's not going to be difficult to land at all. See the beacon flashing down on the ground? Flight Simulator just looks ridiculously real sometimes, doesn't it? And with a good aircraft, it feels real as well. roads, looking at the way in here, we're going to have to be careful about the trees. The trees are high. And we're now being rained on. So can we see our and the final leg, or final couple of legs. First one's 30 degrees. We need to turn left to 30 degrees. So we're going to overfly the airfield. Flaps are up and we're on our way. So yeah, I think this is going to be good for a group flight because the airfields are all interesting. The weather could be spectacular along the way. Depends what it's going to be like on Sunday, I guess. Hopefully maybe it will have cleared up a bit and won't be quite so rainy. Pavel's asking which server I'm on. I'm on Southeast Asia. So we're flying towards... where was the flight plan? Tremonti Airport, SNAO, Sierra November Alpha Oscar. Again, let's do this from out the front, past the propeller. Still on a 30-degree track. up our friend here. I'm going to formate on him. It's a lot easier to fly formation from inside. Don't ask me why. Yeah, he's a bit faster than us, so I'm not going to be able to stay with him. Onto his wingtip. I think many years misspent playing DCS has made me very good at doing formation flying. I think until you've got good at dogfighting, you'll find formation flying difficult, but once you've got good at dogfighting, it becomes a walk in the park. Be careful, we're going to overfly the runway we're going to at this rate. We'll see. Yeah, I'm not quite going fast enough. I go flat out here in the Bulldog and it can't quite keep up. Oh well. Where are we on the map? Halfway. Okay, we're going to descend to get underneath this mist. Where did they go? I hit the brakes. Oh, they're over there. Okay, so if we look at the map, there's this hill. Just behind the hill is the airfield. So we just track around the back of the hill. We should be able to go straight in. So wind is okay. So we want to go from runway 26, wasn't it? 25, sorry. So we'll go around the other side of the airfield to approach. The weather's getting a bit scary, isn't it? Sure, be fine. Just a low altitude approach. As we sweep around the base of the hill, we should see the airfield, and then just loop around and do the approach from the opposite end. Going to put our nose out, cast the propeller. Okay. And there's the airfield. Okay. So we'll stay tight to the hill to lose our speed. Again, this is only a touch and go. The next airfield is the final airfield for the trip today. We're just giving ourselves enough room to turn in for the approach. Rotate. Speed back up. Okay, we need to do reciprocal now. 81 degrees to our final airfield, or 80 degrees basically. Avoid the hill. Let's put that in on the heading marker so we can see where 80 degrees is. Whoops, easily. Trim the aircraft out for level flight. Okay, so the final airfield, okay, so again 6 knots from the southwest, so we'll be flying past the airfield and back in for the approach. We have a little way to go yet though, it's 18 miles away. It shouldn't take long doing 140 knots. About 10 minutes. The cloud bank out there doesn't look great, does it? Hopefully that clears on the other side of this cloud. Hopefully we'll fly through it and out the other side. Otherwise this is not going to be fun. Some pretty spectacular clouds around, aren't there? The low sun shining through them. Oh my word, we're picking up a band of followers. 1, 2, 3, 4 of you now. So yeah, if you want to do this flight again on Sunday evening, I'm just trying this out to see what it looks like. It looks pretty good, doesn't it? We're going to be doing it as a group flight at Virtual Flight Online, and there may be upwards of 30-40 people involved. Okay, so the simulator has just decided not to draw this aeroplane. Oh, here it goes. It's a PC-6, isn't it? PC-6 always looks like a converted garden shed, doesn't it? It shouldn't have had any part, it shouldn't have been an aeroplane. Oh, it's gone wrong again, look. How interesting. What if that's a custom livery, maybe? It's not configured correctly. Again, custom liveries, I think, are one of the biggest culprits for causing crashes to desktop, because people often don't know how to configure them correctly. The designers of the liveries. Oh my word, look at this one. Of course, there's the other issue that anyone with a custom livery will often cause someone else to see an entirely different aeroplane. Because if you have a custom livery, typically you're the only person that can see it. Unless you've arranged with your friends that they all have it as well. And again, if there's an issue with anything to do with that livery, you're all going to get crashes to desktop. Hoping we get there before it gets dark. About halfway. So let's change course slightly. I can hear an engine near me. Ah, that'll be him. The most unlikely aerobatic team in the world. Okay, we're about 8 miles out from the final airport of the live stream. We are going to have to fly a circuit around it, so again we'll do a left circuit. So we'll fly along the beach before flying into the airfield. PC6 with the dodgy livery. Somewhere ahead of us out here is a beach. We should emerge directly over it, which will then give us room to turn around and come back into Mackay. Visibility isn't great, is it? Okay, this is going to be a challenging landing. Okay, let's descend. So at least we can see the ground a little bit clearer. A little bit more clearly, I should say. Just coming down through 2,000 feet. Yeah, so close to 1,000 feet. We've got good visibility and we can see the runway, so we can fly along the beach. The lights are on. All the Thames. go over the beach, turn left, and then out to the far end and loop back in. Oh, and the lights have now come on in the cabin, which was not useful. Is there an internal light here? Nav lights, landing lights. I don't think this has internal lights. It's not really designed for it. It's got the torch, isn't it? Which is really useless. Turn the landing lights on. Taxi lights on. Why is the pitot heat off? I'm sure I switched that on earlier. Okay, so there's the airfield. So to lose some speed. The aircraft ahead going into the pattern. Flaps down. The guy just ahead of me is also about to turn left by the look of it. So follow them in. There he goes. Follow him in, I guess. There's the airfield. Flaps up, roll long. Wheel brakes. Follow the taxiway. Find somewhere to park. I guess face the building somewhere along here. parking brake on, cut the fuel, and switch things off. So pitot heat off, beacon lights off, there, nav lights off, landing lights off, taxi lights off, avionics master off, and magnetos off, battery off, and we're done. Cold and dark. That was good fun. Thank you very much for those that took part in the tail end of that flight. As I said, we will be doing this flight on Sunday evening, so this coming Sunday. If you go to virtualflight.online, you can get an invite into the Discord server there if you're not already a member. And there'll probably be 30 or 40 of us doing the flight together. It's been a really good turnout in recent weeks for the group flights. We do have some pretty strict rules against, conversation on the voice channels has to remain family friendly. So anybody who mentions, anything sexist, racist, or mentions drugs or whatever does get kicked instantly. Because we have lost members in the past where, people started flinging dirty jokes and stuff around, and we just don't allow it full stop anymore. Anyway, there we go. I think we've all come in now. Here comes the PC6 into park. Brilliant. And I'll see you all again soon. Okay, I'm going to stop the live stream there.